Hello everyone, this is Hopespoir here. Welcome to another World of Warships commentary. Now I've been recommended recently that I don't do all high tier videos, as most of my videos at first were tier 9 and tier 10 ships. So recently I did the York because I also wanted to do a cruiser, a real cruiser, and then now the tier 6 Fuso, the tier 6 IJN Battleship. I tend not to play too many tier 6s anymore because of matchmaking. They are no longer ever officially top tier. You'll find yourself often middle tier or low tier. Very rarely will you actually get a tier 5 and 6 game, which we do have in this case. The Fuso has slightly smaller guns, but a lot of them. It can struggle sometimes against battleships, but it does really well against cruisers. And very luckily, there's a whole bunch of them in this game. There's 7 per side. 4 battleships, 1 destroyer per side. So you can see here that we're starting out on the flank, wide on the flank, on C. I'm starting out as wide as possible, which I actually like to do in a battleship because that lets me get to the flank as quickly as possible, whether I'm on A or at C. Now, on this map, typically, if you start out on a flank, you really have to go to that flank. It doesn't mean that you have to try to push through it. If you get there and you realize that you're badly outnumbered or you're in like an inferior tactical situation or position versus the enemy team that is present at that location, you can just start turning around and start kiting. In either case, it's pretty easy to start pulling back because if you look at on the mini-map at both A and C, there are a lot of islands to give you cover. So if you get there and you're like, holy shit, what have we just run into? You can just kind of turn around, kite, and if need be, get behind cover pretty quickly to start your fallback. What I don't like at A, as you can see, the Icarus was there along with 3 cruisers, the Murmansk, the Emil Bertin, and the Graf Spee. You can see that only the Murmansk is following the Icarus towards the A side. The Emil Bertin and the Graf Spee are both pulling back towards B, which is not good. With 3 cruisers there, they could have definitely had enough power to probably take A, probably quite comfortably as well. And unfortunately now that's not going to happen. The Iron Duke is heading that way, but by the time he arrives it's going to be much too late. And the Bayern's not even moving on that side. You can see the Icarus has run into the Eagle there, the enemy destroyer. So we know that the destroyer, there's only 1 per side, so we know the enemy destroyer is at A. We don't have to worry about him at C here. Alright, so as I should have done, I've been sailing towards C as possible. Now, one of the things about tier 6 battleships is that they tend to be quite slow. The Fuso is actually not that slow at 24.5 knots. You can see that I started driving at full flank, full ahead flank towards C right from the start. I did a slight turn towards C to get into C as quickly as possible, and then I just went full speed ahead since then. One thing that was very important for me to do was to get to C as quickly as possible in case my division of cruisers here in front of me, Rap and Mandy, in case they ran into enemy opposition, especially like a force that would outnumber them alone. It was very important that I get here as quickly as possible. So that's what I've done. The situation in A looks quite dreadful. The Icarus is in a very precarious spot right now. He's completely kind of overextended, I would say, because he's got a Leander and a Bajoni about to show up on him and an Eagle as well. I just don't see him getting out of there. And on top of that, the Emil Bertin has also now overextended. He should have covered A, but not like this. Yeah, first of all, he should have gone there sooner, so that him and the Murmansk could have kind of driven together to cover that side. Okay, so I wasn't sure. It looked like there was a high concentration of enemies from the mini-map heading to A. I wasn't sure how much we'd have here. But at this point, I was so deep that the best course of action for me is just to go forward. Now, when you're driving a slower ship, like the Fuso, like basically almost any battleship at this tier, the only exception might be something that's not really a true battleship, like the Prinz Eitel Friedrich, a ship that basically everyone just got this last holiday season. You have to kind of choose a line and decide on it at the beginning of the game. So I knew that I was going to drive through C, even if there were basically no enemies here. I would have to either drive here or very close to it and then turn towards B. This is kind of preset. Like I don't have 28, 29, 30 knots, so I'm not going to be able to redeploy towards A or something. That's just almost never happens when you're in a tier 6 battleship on this map. Okay, unfortunately, Rap took a torpedo on the nose, So he's that's kind of changed his game a lot now. He also took a bunch of fire beforehand. Him and Mandy have done a good job on the Königsberg, but that torpedo kind of really hurt his ability to back me up here. I haven't really managed to get into action thus far. I've only put one salvo that hit on an Alba earlier on. I just haven't been able to get into a position to fire at anything. I'm trying to catch up to them as quickly as possible here because I don't really want Rap and Mandy to get shot at too much. I really want any enemies here to shoot at me. And there are a number of them that are going to appear pretty soon, including battleships, especially since Rap is quite low now. I really want to get up there and start tanking for my team. Something that is really the role of battleships to do. It can be a little scary. It's a good time to learn this skill in something like a tier 6 because at 24.5 knots, I'm really not going to be able to get away if I overextend. So it teaches you a couple things. It teaches you, probably from experiencing it a number of times, how not to overextend. Because when you overextend in a situation that you can't survive, you're just not going to get away with that kind of speed. So it kind of teaches you positioning. It's a good time to kind of try it and fail doing it a few times because you'll learn a lot that way. And it'll also get you really comfortable with being shot at, and teach you how to angle and basically how to mitigate damage as much as you can, how to get comfortable being shot at, things that are very important to do in a battleship. And it actually becomes easier to do at high tiers if you learn to do it here. Because the ships are faster, you can more often get away at high tiers. So you can see Mandy's really squishy in her perth when she's unable to smoke. She probably doesn't have a smoke yet because she used one earlier to fight the cruiser. I don't think her cooldown's over yet. Rap was very badly hurt, so he's had to fall back now. So in order to engage the side, I really had to kind of come forward and make everyone shoot at me so that Mandy and Rap can, as safely as possible, shoot at the enemies. Now this is a little more difficult than it should have been because if you look at the minimap again, at sea, there's a Graf Spee and a something. Is that a Hong Mei? I don't even know how to pronounce it or spell it at this point. They kind of followed in behind us to see, but the entire time, basically until now, they were behind the rear island and then they drove through the middle island. So they've been behind cover the whole time. So they've been unable to shoot anything and they've been unable to make anyone shoot at them, which has not been very helpful. But finally, they are starting to finally engage now. And I'm just up here. Rap is fairly far back, but he doesn't have much health left, and he's quite squishy, so he has to be back there. Basically, his job now is to survive and to do as much damage as possible. It's very important. Sometimes when people get low on health, they just like, oh no, forget I'm so low, I'm just gonna YOLO in. Rap is very intelligently saving his ship as much as possible and doing as much offense as he can. And it's helping me out a lot. I mean, if you look at the amount of damage I'm taking, which is a lot right now, and I'm very grateful for any damage that he can. Like, if he just YOLO'd and died, I could very well not survive this here, as opposed to the actual offense that he's able to put out here. This happens to me as well. Sometimes I take a shot that, especially like in a cruiser, I'll take a really big hit where it feels like it's a lot more damage than I should have taken. I was like, oh, I was as well angled as I could have been. I really mitigated that as well as I could, and I still got a Citadel. That really pisses me off, and then I just kind of like, screw this, I'm just going to YOLO. And that's how you lose games, right? What he's doing now is actually how you win games, which is when things don't go your way, you make the best of what you have left. And he's making the best of the little amount of health that he's got left. Mandy has been fairly far forward, finding positions where she could fire on the enemy, and her and Rap have both been doing that consistently. I've been watching their volleys come in at the enemy, so they've been both firing consistently at the enemy, which is probably the reason why I'm alive right now. Okay, so looking at the minimap, our A flank completely collapsed, which was not a surprise because the way that the ships went in was completely disorganized. Quite a few ships did actually go that way, but they didn't go in together, right? The destroyer went in by himself with the Murmansk, and then the ML Bertin came in after that, and then the Iron Duke arrived. And they kind of did it in a mishmash, completely disorganized fashion. And whether World of Warships or real life, this is how you get your fleet or your forces blown to pieces. It doesn't matter that, it doesn't matter that we commit 6 ships or 7 ships to that flank. If you commit them one at a time, they're just going to die one at a time, while the enemy is going to suffer very minimal damage. When if you commit 6-7 ships, it's really, really important that they sail together. Which is why I tried to get in here as quickly as possible. You can see, and even on this flank, at the beginning when it was Rap, Mandy, and myself, I was trying to get here as quickly as possible. I basically got the 24.5 knots going, and I tried to get in here as quickly as possible. You can see before I entered the fight, Rap was taking a lot of fire. And it just wasn't surprising that that happened. It was absolutely critical that I got there as soon as possible so that I could tank for them. So the A flank has now collapsed. The deployment of our ships is a bit of a... I'm not very happy with it. It's a bit of a disaster. I like that we still have a Graf Spee here with Mandy, and Rap is still here as well. So we're kind of hopefully going to work on this New Mexico and Koenig for now, and then we can deal with the forces at A when they arrive at B. If we can eliminate everything here, then we can just focus on them as they enter B. The Huang Hui, he's not going to survive. And the Bayern has now taken himself out of the fight. I don't know how much health he has left. A lot of times, if he manages to kind of get away and he has enough heals left, he can heal up and re-enter the fight. What I unfortunately see a lot of random players do is they do what the Bayern's doing now in Line J. They take a lot of damage or something, and then they fall back, and they just never re-engage. Even if they heal back, their health in their 2/3 or something, they're too afraid to re-engage or something, or they've got into the mentality that they shouldn't re-engage, and they just stay like that for the rest of the fight. So I'm not expecting him to re-enter the fight. And now, as you can see, that basically leaves the Graf Spee, Mandy, Rap, and myself. The Graf Spee looks like he's going for a torpedo run here. It looks good. He's got a lot of health. His torpedoes are out, and there he goes. Okay. So now we've really evened this out. We were really badly outnumbered. I didn't point that out for a while, but we were really badly outnumbered for a while. It still doesn't look great at the moment because New Mexico has a lot of health. He has more health than I do. Our Bayern's taken himself out of the fight, and I know that they still have a Mutsu. Rap is really low on health there. He's down to 5,000 something now. He could die on any given salvo. Mandy still has a few smokes, and the Graf Spee is still. So we've got a fight on our hands here. The Donny here, I can see he's trying to kill Mandy. And when Mandy's not in smoke, her Perth is really susceptible, so I'm trying to help her out here. Yeah, you can see Mandy's fallen down to 8,000 HP now. I want to remove this distraction, and I do it with a Citadel for minimal damage. Wasn't very much left. Now you can see I had 2 kills before that with 5 enemies left. Now I have 3 kills and there are 4 enemies left. That adds up to 4 plus 3 equals 7. Why am I adding that up? Interesting question. So the New Mexico is getting low here. And very luckily we managed to kill him off. Here, it's probably a bit of a steal. But I'm just trying to win the game at this point. Now that's a little bit of a problem. You can see the Mutsu's just shown up and he has basically full health. And our Bayern is out of the game. You can see him still in J6 now. I don't know how much health he has left, but... Okay, so here, I'm trying to protect Mandy and Rap, mainly Mandy against the cruisers, because Mandy is heading forward here. I'm afraid that she's going to be targeted by the Leander and possibly the enemy Hong Wei here. It's quite important that I keep them alive. I do need them. We're down to 1 cap now, so it's a point issue as well. It's a cap and point issue as well as their ability to do damage. Now I'm warning Mandy a lot here about driving out here. I've warned her, I think, a couple times by now. If you look at the mini-map where the enemy Mutsu is, I'm afraid that she's going to get spotted if she keeps driving forward. Like this, you can see that she's targetable by probably Liana and Hongwei. And she keeps on driving forward like this. I'm actually afraid that the Mutsu is going to come out wide, like north. He's going to pop up north of these islands. I just suspect he's going to do that, and we actually see him doing that now. So I've warned Mandy about this a few times. I told her not to sail out this way. I wanted her to kind of start falling back a bit, so that when the Mutsu popped out, she could safely smoke and then work on him. Unfortunately, she did not listen to my warning, and she just sailed into her death. Which was bad, because this Mutsu's full health, and I really needed Mandy to sit and smoke and just work on him, because I'm at a major disadvantage facing off against a Mutsu here. Luckily, just after Mandy died, I managed to kill my 5th ship, or 5, obviously, for a Kraken, I mean. And now there's 2 enemy ships left. 5 plus 2 equals 7. Okay, so now I'm engaging the Mutsu. I did kind of suspect that he would come out this way. But in either case, even if he drove straight, Mandy should have fallen back, because the same thing could have happened if the Mutsu went the other way. I expected him to come out this way, though, so I was really warning her against this maneuver. I did get her permission to say that that was a mistake and that I'd warn her about it before saying that. So thank you, Mandy, for pointing that out. Basically in the Perth, I wanted her to stay back. Especially with how much little health she had left, I wanted to make sure that the Mutsu didn't sail out, spot her, and then just blap her before she could get into her smoke, because I really did not want to face off against such a healthy Mutsu with the health I had left. Especially since the Mutsu has torpedoes, you can just see they pass the Graf Spee. The Graf Spee has put torpedoes out towards the Mutsu, which is great because the Mutsu is turning towards them, and I get another Citadel, and I get the kill. The Graf Spee did land some torpedoes as well, so we kind of just smashed that Mutsu at the same time. And the Spee survives, which is very good for us. I'm very happy about that. It really increases our chances of winning, even though the enemy is capping C now. They're very likely to get all the caps here. Rap's not really in a position to go challenge the Hongwei in C, because he's only got a couple thousand HP left, which is less than what the Hongwei has. He basically has to kind of fall back here and hopefully spot the Hongwei. You can see his plane's up. Rap's plane is up. You can see that on the mini map. I'm hoping that he can spot the Hongwei, which will give me an indication of which way I should go. I'm hoping that the Graf Spee and other Bayern can kind of get into B to slow down the points on the enemy team. The enemy team definitely has enough time to, I don't know if they have enough time to point out, but they definitely have enough time to get more points than we do. Luckily, the plane from Rap, which is brilliant, does spot the Hongwei. Really, really happy that Rap put that plane up and gave me spotting, showed me that the Hongwei is coming this way, and I am sailing the right direction. So, as you can see, I'm kind of heading this way as quickly as I can now. I'm hoping to intercept him as he comes around the island. I don't want him to be able to be dark and decide, oops, I shouldn't be out here, and then turn back around and disappear. You know, I want to get close enough that I spot him. And now I'm detected, so I know that he sees me, obviously, and he is clear of that island. I'm just trying to head there as quickly as possible, as I was just saying. I want to make sure that I get sight of him before he's able to disappear and hide somewhere. Because I think the enemy still may have enough points. Rap has no choice here but to kind of fall back again and maybe shoot it and do as much damage as possible. The Hongwei is now picked up. You can see he was shooting at at Rap. He just did, and he's trying to kill him off for the points, which is a smart idea, because any kind of reasonable volley will kill Rap, and the points will be very important. He now smokes up, and he's kind of shooting at me. Look at that. He gets a double fire off of like 2 hits, 3 hits. What a lucky bastard. I had so many fires on me this game. So many fires. And he fires again, and look at this. He gets another fire. So lucky. Like, I don't think it's gonna... I'm not too concerned about it. I've still got a heal, especially. Some heals for this purpose. I'm not too concerned. I'll be able to heal back this damage on this, and We just spot his torpedoes passing, which I did turn to kind of, I was aware of the possibility of torpedoes, so I did dodge those. So I'm not too concerned. Now I'm healing back the damage that the fire is going to do, and then if he floods me again, my damage con will be ready. He's the last ship left, so I'm going for him. As you can see now, I've got 6 kills with 1 ship left. That was really bad, that amount of damage I got there. Now, I'm aware that he might be firing torpedoes at me, and I turn in a little bit, and I'm trying to slow down as quickly as possible. But I'm not turning too far to port that I won't be able to use my guns. I want to make sure I have all my guns, all my turrets, able to fire. Because I think that he won't survive the next one, and he doesn't. So by not turning in too sharply there, I did kind of take a torpedo or 2. I knew that was a possibility, but I knew that I would dodge the majority of them, and I wanted to make sure that I had all 6 of my turrets available on the next volley on him. So you can see here 7 kills with the amount of damage I did. What was it, 122? Obviously, there was a little bit of stealing going on, but at 5.6, it's not a bad average damage per kill, to be honest. What does that work out to be? 18,000, 17,000 per kill average. It's not too bad in a 5.6 game. But thank you to everyone who gave me kill steals by doing damage. Okay, so that was 81 hits. Look at that, I took 11 fires. I took 11 fires that game. That did a lot of damage. Okay, so thank you very much for watching, and hope to see you again. This is Hopespoir signing off. Thank you, and bye-bye.